GAA being for everybody is the most important part. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your capacity is, whether you're good, bad or indifferent at it.
We can understand the power a role model has on young kids.
If you can't see it, you can't be it.
Sport has no barriers. You're all just playing with the same common goal to enjoy and have fun.
We're obviously here today to talk about GAA for all, inclusion, diversity, why it's important, why it's so relevant and what we can kind of do, I suppose. So Kevin, if you don't mind me asking, obviously we know each other quite well now at this stage. You're a wonderful guy, a wonderful advocate and a wonderful GAA man, and just kind of interested in kind of hearing maybe a little bit of the backstory and then maybe throw a few more questions at you in regards to your experience, I suppose, in GAA.
Me being autistic, it was tough growing up, and I was going to school and I probably didn't have friends, and I wasn't really linking in with my own club at that time. I was a teenager. I was low in confidence, and I guess my father brought me to a few games, and I just when it's like anything, you get a bug for something, you know, and you went to a few, and then you're like, oh. I'll go to another, and then you big championship games and the crowd, and some people autistic, they'll be like, you're not good with big loud noises, loads of people, you like to have the day structured, I guess. There is barriers, there is challenges, but I guess I've found a passion, and once you have a passion, you don't kind of feel that the barriers around you that are easier to deal with, I guess.
Yeah. If you were to ask me, or if you were to ask a club, what would you like to see happen in GAA clubs or from GAA players or people that are involved in trying to make that more accessible, make it a nicer place to be? You obviously have a positive experience, but that's not the case for everybody.
No, exactly.
So how do we make that happen, nationally?
It's challenging, I guess, for your own club and a referee as well. That you want people from every walk of life and involved in in getting different jobs or getting roles in the GAA.
Kevin, would it be the fact that it's based on everybody's individual ability? So what people can do rather than see them as a disability more so, Porrick? Would that be a fair point?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, definitely. As you say, the ability, and it's inclusion, it's acceptance as well.
Catering, I suppose, for people's individualistic needs as well.
It's
about kind of getting to know the players and understanding. You might like to be around people. You mightn't like. Might be sensitive to loud noise, etc. It's about getting to know the players as well, I think, but also having that opportunity.
Well. And I guess if we all look at all GAA clubs as well, we see people with different abilities. It could be autism, it could be Down syndrome. There's so many wide ranging, and I guess they all contribute in a way. Everyone is part of
But you yourself, Kevin, you're making a massive contribution, to your sport, to your club, and your county. In terms of your PRO and your involvement with the local radio station and different things so it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be able to kick a ball, or it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be able to hit a hurley or whatever it is, hit a sliotar. You have a massive contribution, and so far you've made a massive contribution based on your abilities and your skills and your experience. Now that you're broadcasting everything good about Tipperary GAA, and that's massive. I had empathy with you when you started off your story earlier on. You didn't feel that the club was the place for you to go to first. That you felt it was easier, more accessible, maybe to go with your dad to a county game. And I was like, God, that's really unusual. That you go to a county game before you go to your club game. But you obviously didn't feel that the club was. Maybe open to you or whatever it was, and then you found your confidence. And you mentioned confidence there. It was probably then that when you went to county games, then did you probably develop a little bit more about yourself and develop a little bit more confidence then, and were able to take that back then into your community then.
Yeah, no, exactly. As you say, obviously, that is a point where your club is first, where you always start. But I moved around when I was young. you know, around the country. I was in Monaghan, I was in Navan, and then I located, my family
Didn't go to Mayo though.
I didn't go to Mayo.
I was about to say, if you want to relocate, I've got a place for you.
Or Cork.
Sure.
I know a spot. Don't worry about Cork.
Yeah.
Up north, you'll be all right. Northwest.
Well, it might be on my list and down the line. But we'll see.
Excellent. We'll pull you away from tip.
You know, everyone deserves the same chance. Everyone deserves to be part of the community, whatever ability, whatever disability you have, or, you know, if there's a place for everyone, you know, because, you know, and the social aspect, the friends, and being part of it, like, it all helps an individual. And looking at kids now, you see more probably kids with disabilities on teams and involved in clubs, like from when I kind of was younger. It has, I guess, progressed, but there's still a long way. There's still huge barriers for kids, for people getting involved with clubs, getting the confidence, I guess. The confidence is a big factor.
If we think of GAA right now, we think of the inter-county guys and girls that we see on the TV. The highest level, the elite level of the sport. And it's very easy to forget how much it encompasses. Like, the GAA club is community-based first and foremost. It should be a place for all. And I think our values can be obscure and skewed incorrectly sometimes based upon the principle of winning and victory. And I know I've done it. I know it's a big part of a lot of GAA clubs is we forget that the value of community and people, and we become obsessed with victory and winning. If you have under 10s and 12 coaches doing that they're thinking about winning and not including everyone, then it keeps going and it trickles up and up and up until you get to the point where your club is completely focused on success and not focused on how many people can we support, how big of a community can we build, how many people can we help. How do we facilitate that? How do we make that more accessible? You know, success is a smile on a kid's face and them coming back next week. That's what success is. If you can do that with 40 kids each week, each year, it's a lot better than winning a trophy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Padraig. I think it's a really valid point that you've made. I think clubs do have that main focus of actually winning or looking to develop their players to go on to play senior football, which is not always the case, and Kevin has alluded to that earlier on, so he has in what he has said. But I definitely do think that from a club perspective, in terms of a club structure, club development, that it's like building a house. You have to have a sound foundation. So with a sound foundation, that has to be quite broad. You can't pick your elite athletes at under 10s because you're never going to be able to sustain that, you know, level, particularly of engagement with younger kids. Like if you've decided now, this is my 15, 20 kids, 25 kids that I'm actually going to develop now at under 10s, well, sure to goodness, they're not going to really enjoy that formation of actually just really intensive training sessions just to become an elite athlete at 10 years of age.
The focus should really be just participation and, as you alluded to, the enjoyment and the fun, particularly at a young age coming up as well, and sometimes we lose track of that as well. It's very interesting to note that when we ask kids based on the research, you know, why are you playing and why are you involved, that winning is actually way down on the list. Like being with their friends, having fun, challenging themselves with their skill, but winning is actually like number 7, 8, 9, 10. It's way down on the list. So that kind of, I suppose, makes us think, what does success mean? And, you know, perhaps coaches, clubs, players have to redefine that success, and rather than just winning county finals. Like, is that what success means? Or is it that you're progressing your skill, that you're learning so many more skills as well, not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well, that you're creating that opportunity and you're creating that culture and environment to allow every player to empower themselves to succeed, and what that means for them too. So it's easier said than done, I think, sometimes, but it's just education, I think it boils down to, and asking the players like what they like, what they want, what are their goals, rather than the coaches and the admin side of things saying, well, we have to do this and we have to reach this final. So it's quite interesting in that regard, but it's trying to encourage that participation.
Yes, sometimes the goals are set out by the coaches rather than actually by the kids. So we probably need to turn that on the head then, that to ask the kids in terms of what their goals are for the year. So for me, success would be very much different to your success, Orla. So my success might be I'm able to kick the ball over the bar using my left foot or my non-dominant foot, for example, or I could, you know, maybe score a point maybe during a game or whatever it is. Like that could be my ultimate goal for the year. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I want to win a medal.
Yeah.
Do you know? So we probably have to understand that from a coaching perspective, that every child that comes to our session. So if we have 30 kids at our session, that we have 30 individual goals, 30 individual needs within that group. So then how do we sort of bring that all together? So it's maybe getting the kids maybe to fill out a quick survey or whatever it is, you know, just in terms of what they want to achieve by the end of the year. And then us as coaches, then we try to facilitate that in the best possible way. But we have to probably change our culture and our ethos within the club structure to, you know, I suppose, allow coaches to be a little bit more open-minded in their own coaching or their own coaching philosophy. Like we all, the four of us here probably have a very different coaching philosophy. So we have, and that's probably based on our own values, beliefs, and even our coaching experience, you know.
Yep.
So it's probably just trying to change that up a wee bit, and I suppose maybe just to really think about the kids that we're coaching rather than, okay, well, I'm out here coaching and I'm given 2 hours a week coaching this group and this is what I want to achieve at the end of the year. It mightn't be what the kids want to achieve.
And that's like, I think the next thing I'd like to do is maybe try and hash out a few things like that, like what differences or what changes could be made to kind of tip the balance, I suppose, back into the middle. And just before we do that, I want to say, like, you'd have people that will be like, it's about winning. It's about winning. It's about winning, all right? And we're speaking about the other side, about inclusion and community. They're not contrasting ideas. It's not if we focus on community, we won't win. It's actually the opposite. You know, like if you focus on providing an environment where everybody can grow and flourish, then you're actually going to end up with more success down the line anyway. You know, they're not against each other. And what you said there is really, really important. If you look at any of the youth action plans, anything for youth, it's youth-led now. You know, if you're going to be proactive, if you look at any of the programs being rolled out at a national level, everything is youth-led because it's very simple, isn't it? We're projecting our wants and needs over them, and it's obviously not our goals that are important, it's theirs. So I think that was a fantastic point, and it should be probably put into clubs that's where you get your drive from, that's where you get your goals from. But like, again, Kevin, do you see anything, even Orla, like if we were to go ahead and make a couple of changes, if we could do that here today, if we were the authority, I'd love to be the authority, love a bit of authority. But if we were, let's say hypothetically we were, what would we do today? I think one, Maggie is going to have the youth run the world. She's dead right. Cool. What else do we do? What would make it more accessible to you? What would make it a nicer place to be?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Like, I guess for some people, as we alluded to, like, you know, the mentality of winning all the time, you know, if it's about friendships, about building up confidence, you know, I guess that it's, you know, it's a community-led organisation, the GAA, so, you know, that everyone is part of it, you know, that and every kid is accepted. If it's, as you say, Maggie, with like coaches as well, people with disabilities, maybe they have to tailor them slightly different to, you know, how people without disability, how they need to be coached, or, you know, that that they're given the opportunity that they can progress as well, like, because they find skills harder to, like eye coordination, you know, that, you know, all that kind of stuff is challenging for people with disabilities, but they can achieve, I guess, just the important thing.
I think opportunity there is the key word. And I know from my own experience in my own club in Middleton, they run the Magpies All-Star, and that's all aimed at including, you know, young kids with additional needs. And it's been such a success in the club, and it's given the club such a boost, not only the players but also their parents and just the community of practice, what the GAA is all about as well. But something that really stood to me was when I saw a comment, a father of a child who was part of the Magpies All-Star team, and he kind of alluded to the fact that his son was going to his sister's games, but he was watching the games from, you know, the stand or the fence, and he was going with his hurley, but he was on the outside, he wasn't on the pitch. And then when the Magpies All-Star programme came to Middleton, he was actually on the pitch, and now he was pucking around with his friends on the pitch, or his dad or his sister on the pitch, rather than being on the outskirts, and now he's involved. And I think that sense of belonging, if you can create that in a club setup, that culture of that sense of belonging and that you're welcome, and embrace that kind of mindset, I think we'll go a long way as well.
Yeah, and as a player, and you seeing that, it probably gives you satisfaction that I'm playing for this club and no one's left behind. I guess you probably feel that as well, that, and seeing progression of people, that actually now have the confidence to play, or even just to participate. Like it must give you great satisfaction as a player that you can see that.
Absolutely, yeah, that sense of belonging and sense that you're actually contributing to your club and the community of practice. And I know you mentioned as well, I think something that's essential is the support structures. You said that your dad, was kind of your role model, and he brought you to the games, and having that positive social kind of support, and even parenting modelling as well was very important. And sometimes it's just a matter of allowing and catering for that opportunity in the club, whereby parents can get involved, even as volunteers and as coaches. Players can get involved, and all of a sudden you have 50, 60 people all added to a community of practice just because of opportunity.
Yeah, it's like planting a few seeds, and seeing it progress over years. Like none of this is going to happen like next week or next year. Like
we can get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
And like, in fairness to the GAA, the template is there. It's not like it's not there. Inclusion is a cornerstone of the GAA. I would think, and I would definitely say that all sport organisations, the GAA lead that out, and it is there, but like it is dependent on, I suppose, volunteers. It's dependent on different clubs putting in the effort and providing the opportunity. We're getting our first GAA for all event in association with SuperValu soon, to bring in all these young people and say, look, there is a space for you in the club, no matter the ability, disability, whatever, no matter the ethnicity. It's all irrelevant. It's about sports. It's about fun. It's about having a crack. It's about meeting people. And like, I really would like to see, if I could change one thing right now, I think it would be that. I would really call on the bigger clubs. I know it may not be feasible or achievable for the smaller clubs, but definitely for the bigger clubs, to really take a close look at that and try and provide, an actual program for these young people. The template is there from Croke Park. There are supports there. It's just a matter of somebody actually taking that step. And that might be somebody in the club, or that might be somebody hopefully listening to this and saying, you know what, it's usually an advocate, a parent. Yeah. Maybe somebody's there to go, you know what, I'm going to approach the local GAA club and I'm going to get the ball rolling on this. I'm going to get some kids together. I'm going to let them enjoy a couple hours of each other's company each week. And that's all we're kind of looking for and asking for, really, isn't it,
Yeah, no, for sure. And, I guess one thing in my club last year, we had a successful enough year. We got, in hurling, we got to a county final in Junior B. But when I was in the semi-final and we were down by 4 or 5 points at half time, and we were all in the dressing room, and one of the coaches, I remember at half time, he said one of the quotes that I did on my blogs, or that I did for autism, and I felt like, and he mentioned a few things, and then I felt like, that belonging, that that the players are actually taking what I said in, and then we ended up going on and winning that game, so, and then players afterwards said to me, seeing how you, how you challenges and how you kind of found things hard, that at the end of the day it was a match and we were wanting to do it for you as well, and to be a sense of, I contribute in a way, I guess.
People are drawing inspiration.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Sharing your story, I think, is important as well. I think it would help a lot of people and, improve that kind of inclusivity as well. And I think just the confidence, you kept alluding to the confidence and how that actually helped you, like with confidence outside of sport as well.
Yeah.
So I think by sharing your story, I think it would be very effective.
But maybe that could be that might be an opportunity maybe for clubs maybe to invite people in, like the like of Kevin here, that is speaking about his story and the challenge that he has faced, with autism and whatnot. It could be like an inspiration. It could be an opportunity maybe for clubs maybe to think about things maybe differently. But I definitely do think education is part of it there as well. So the likes of the CARA, disability inclusion workshops, and just autism sport. There's loads of different resources out there at the moment, and I think coaches and clubs probably need to tap into that culture of maybe educating and maybe educating but also supporting coaches that have maybe a group of kids that's coming to them with additional needs, you know. So like we all see it, like, you know, when coaches, when you get a group of new kids from the year, and you've got a registration form and you ask on the questionnaire, you know, you just find out a little bit about the kids who you're coaching. Do you have a disability? Well, 9 times out of 10, sometimes the parents don't fill in that actually the kid has a disability, and it's due to the fact that they're feared that the club will see their child differently, which is completely irrelevant, like, you know, because at the end of the day,
it's important information.
It's hugely important
to find out more about everybody, you know, and like that point I think is one of the barriers, and this came up in one of the works with As I Am last year, and I think it's a really, really important point, is that language around it, conversations around additional needs, disability. Do I say disability? Do I say additional need? Am I being offensive if I say, Kevin, you are autistic? If I say you have dyspraxia? Like, because people are actually terrified, all right? Absolutely terrified to be killed on Twitter over it, you know? Say something and then you're shot down and you're... So, like, there's a huge barrier, because I know a lot of people that want to learn, right? We're talking about education and information. You can't obtain the education and information if you're not willing to talk and take maybe what you might see as a risk. But it's not a risk. Like, if I say something incorrectly to Kevin, he can straighten me up, can't you? You can say, Porrick, good effort, mate. But yet again, you're wrong. And then we learn, you know what I mean? And we grow. But the fear of that, the fear of making a mistake and being slandered for it, is preventing one side understanding the other side far more. And I'd be interested to kind of ask everybody, really, do you see that as an issue? Would you even feel that yourself, that you'd be maybe conscious of discussing additional needs or certain areas? Even like for any group of area, but definitely in the disability sector, you see people are terrified to discuss things because of the fear of making a mistake.
But I do definitely think that it's on an individual basis. You know, like there is a fear. There's definitely a fear of maybe using the wrong terminology or the language. But if you know that Kevin's comfortable with saying, "Oh, Kevin's got autism," I think if you know the person, I think it's easier maybe to talk about it, maybe, or something, or maybe to even to maybe point that out, maybe, or something.
But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, you know you can't speak for the whole community, but I mean in general, okay? Let's say somebody offended any of us for any means, okay? Do we take it on the words that are being said to us or the intention behind the words? Because the people I've spoken to in the autistic community would say to me, Porrick, if you make a mistake, if you say something completely incorrect, nobody's going to care. And anybody that does is just being a bit, you know? It's the intention behind the words. So if we're trying to learn, if we're trying to be proactive, if we're trying to be inclusive, what's the harm in saying something slightly wrong? The intention is pure. It's when you go out to maliciously offend somebody, you know, then it's a different story. But would you feel that way?
Yeah, like even like me being autistic as well, I sometimes mess up and the terminology as well, like, because it changes, it adapts.
Tough. It's really tough, isn't it?
Like, because you don't know how to, you know, if someone else is autistic or whatever. Sometimes, you know,
the fear of insulting or the fear of
as you say, like, so there is a stigma there in society, and you know that. If I say this or I say that, like I remember like someone said to me, you know, you're autistic, and I taught people with autism couldn't drive a car, and I was like, oh no, I learned and I passed and I can drive a car, you know. So like things like that, you know, there's people have an idea of autism. You can't do this or you can't do that, or you're very bad at socializing, you know. Rather than breaking down those barriers and educating, as you say.
But like, talk about it, you know what I mean? Talk about it.
What's the harm? We're always wrong. We're wrong most of the time, are we not? Well, I am anyway. I don't know about the rest of you. Into some really good stuff there. It comes back to education, a lot of it, doesn't it? Like, it's just understanding people. Understanding people in real simple terms. And trying to make, like, we all want to enjoy our lives. We all want to have a good time. How do we best facilitate that for each other? And the GAA Club, as we all know, pillar of the community. Great place to be when things are going well, and if you can provide that for more people, ticks the box for all of us.
100%,
Yeah, I'm happy.
You did great. You did
Well
great,
done, guys
guys.
and girls.
Well done.